Hello and welcome to China Shortcuts,
the European Chamber's weekly catch-up on China's business landscape.
This episode was recorded on 18th June 2025. According to data published by the National Bureau of Statistics on 16th June, industrial production growth in China slowed in May, while retail sales growth accelerated. Overall, however, in the first 5 months of the year, production increased faster than consumption.
Production at larger industrial firms rose 5.8% year-on-year in May. This was the slowest pace of increase recorded since last November. The total value of retail sales surged 6.4% compared to last May, the fastest pace seen in nearly a year and a half. This was not yet enough, however, to offset the trend of lopsided growth in terms of supply and demand. In the first 5 months of 2025, industrial production rose 6.3% year-on-year, significantly faster than retail sales at 4%.
On 16th June, speaking at the Group of Seven summit held in Canada, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen expressed a strong criticism of China over its export controls on rare earth minerals, and called out the country for its market practices that she said constituted distortion with intent.
Speaking on rare earth minerals, von der Leyen stressed that currently China dominates the global market for rare earth permanent magnets, and accused the country of weaponizing this position to undermine competitors in key industries. She warned that even though China has given signals that it may loosen its relevant restrictions, the threat remains. Therefore, she called on members of the G7 to respond in a united manner and create alternatives along the supply chain both in home markets and around the world. In a separate statement delivered during a session on the global economic outlook, von der Leyen called China's trade and market practices the G7's biggest collective problem, accusing China of undercutting intellectual property protections and providing subsidies with the aim of dominating global manufacturing and supply chains. Commission President von der Leyen's tone suggests that the EU finds the imbalance in its trade and economic relationship with China increasingly harmful for its own market and companies. The Chamber has been sharing its concerns with the Chinese government that third markets are increasingly likely to take action to protect their own economic interests if China does not address the issue of its growing trade surplus with many of its key trade partners and provide a level playing field for all companies operating in the Chinese market in a timely manner.
On 13th June, the 10th EU-China Environment Policy Dialogue was held in Brussels, with the two sides agreeing to deepen their environmental cooperation.
The dialogue was co-chaired by Jessica Roswell, Commissioner for Environment, Water Resilience and a Competitive Circular Economy of the European Commission, and Chinese Minister of Ecology and Environment Huang Runqiu. Areas for further cooperation discussed during the meeting included negotiations for an international plastic pollution agreement, with the final round of negotiations for an international legally binding instrument due in August, air and chemical pollution control, water resource protection, and deforestation-free supply chains. The 6th High-Level Environment and Climate Dialogue between the EU and China will be held mid-July, during which high-level exchanges will continue on key areas of engagement between the two sides.
China is aging and fast. In just over 2 decades, the share of people aged 60 and above has more than doubled, rising from 10% in 2000 to 22% in 2024. That is 310 million people today. By 2035, this number is expected to exceed 400 million, roughly the combined populations of the UK and the US. This demographic shift presents not just a social challenge, but also a powerful economic opportunity.
Recognizing this potential, the Chinese government has taken active steps to foster the growth of the so-called silver economy, the expanding market for goods and services to people aged 50 and older. In 2024, the first national policy document focused solely on this sector was issued. This landmark initiative outlines increased financial support for elderly care facilities, programs, and services. More recently, the 2025 Action Plan for Stabilizing Foreign Investment opened the door for foreign-owned projects in healthcare, education, and biotechnology, which may create exciting opportunities for international investors.
Join us on 25th June online or in person in Beijing for an insightful event supported by the EU SME Center, which will explore the current landscape and future outlook of China's silver economy. Find out about key policy updates, consumer trends, and practical strategies for entering or finding new opportunities in the sector.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to tune in again next week.
In the meantime, please find useful links in the episode notes.